Hello everyone, happy Sunday. This is Simon with AvaTrade. Welcome to our weekly webinar and a special welcome to the new people. And the idea of the webinar is actually reflected in the title, your weekly trading plan. And that's pretty much it. We're trying to make a plan and then stick to it. As I like to say, you plan your trade and then you trade your plan. And this is the idea. And of course, in anything, not just trading, if we plan in life, we have better chances to succeed. And the same idea, of course, with trading, which is very, very important. Few things about myself. This is my name, Simon Friedman. I'm a senior account manager with AvaTrade. My overall experience is over 22 years. I started in June of 2000 as a proprietary trader back in New York City, and I did it for about 11 years, and then I moved to trade regularly, not full-time, and I started to mentor and educate other traders using my experience. And currently, I'm excited to help customers at AvaTrade, as I know it's not an easy field to be alone in. And of course, very, very important, make sure you contact your account managers, reach out for help. We're happy to help you with your questions, and any assistance that you need, let us know. This is the agenda of the webinar, pretty simple. We'll go through indices, stocks, commodities, and Forex. And of course, these are the channels that you can be in touch with us and reach out for this information. It's very, very important and very useful. You have Telegram, you have Twitter, and my favorite YouTube channel. A lot of you are watching webinars on YouTube channel. If you're not succeeding to be there live, we are posting webinars to YouTube together with educational material and tutorials and everything else. So I highly suggest that you subscribe. Also, you can click on that bell, you'll be notified. And of course, feel free to share it with your friends, with other people that you feel that might benefit from this. A risk warning, you can find a full document at avatrade.com. And let's move on. So I want to start with this slide actually with a screenshot I took the website MarketWatch, and it's all about Tesla. And if you remember, I mentioned last week and probably the week before that Tesla is going to have issues until all this Twitter thing is settled, and it's not. A lot of people are left by being fired, other employees left by themselves. And I just did some research, and it shows that actually Elon Musk says that it might be even an issue with Twitter, that it might look for bankruptcy. That was shocking to me, but I guess there's always a possibility of that. And Tesla stock was down last week, around 5.5%. And I don't know we'll see what's next week shows any new developments from Twitter. A lot of things. Musk called a meeting, important meeting that was on Thursday, and he said that he actually warned everyone that difficult times ahead. I don't know whatever that means. I guess we'll find out soon. Another thing that employees didn't like, that he actually he ordered to end the work from home policy. So he just wants all the employees to return full time to the office. Maybe, just my thought, maybe that caused also employees to quit as well. I'm not sure. So I guess we'll find out the upcoming week. So big picture, as we always start with the big picture. We have midterm elections. I'm not sure if we have final results. I'm not big in politics. I'm not going to even try to explain it. But some high-tech companies are happy about it because they said something that I read, that we're not going to see any new policies or any antitrust things, at least until the next election, so for the next 2 years. So that's a good thing. Another thing, while I was kind of researching something that came out, one of the analysts said that TikTok might have issues. It says that somebody by the name Gallant says that Congress could pursue U.S. to ban TikTok, actually, and that could be good for Facebook or Meta and YouTube and Google. Let's see. They actually reacted to it. We'll take a look later. I just want to give you a little highlights, and then we'll go gradually through the instruments, through the markets. But Facebook had a nice run. We're going to take a look at the moment. So that's as far as Tesla and the elections. The highlight of the week, of course, was something that we mentioned last week. That was the inflation number. The CPI numbers came on Thursday, and finally we see some sign, according to the numbers, some sign of slowing down of the inflation. We had the 7.7% instead of predicted 8%. Markets reacted tremendously to it. So what happened? Dollar dropped very, very heavily. Gold went up, and equities moved up very nicely. Okay, so that's as far as the inflation report on Thursday. Now, for those of you that follow cryptocurrencies, I'm sure you've heard about FTX, and they filed for bankruptcy. The CEO resigned. A big issue. A lot of analysts jumped on it and started to really post things like a lot of uncertainty, people running out of assets, and some even say that this uncertainty might even spill into the stock market. So we'll see. It's going to be an interesting week in front of us for sure for cryptos, and let's see how the markets react to it. And that's what's happening now. That's it pretty much as far as the big pictures. Let's take a look what's waiting for us this week as far as the economic calendar. And again, this week I took out the high impact announcements. So a few words for new people. This is economic calendar. The announcements posted ahead of time. You can be prepared ahead of time. You can see if anything relates to your trading, to the instruments or geographical area that you're trading in. So here I just took the high impact, and let's just browse through it really quick. Monday, we have the GDP numbers from Japan. Tuesday, meeting minutes from Bank of Australia, retail sales from China. We have unemployment data from UK, GDP numbers from European Union. Wednesday, CPI inflation numbers from UK as well. Now, we might see, this is very interesting, take a look. The previous was 10.1, they're expecting it to be higher. We might see also surprise like we said we saw in the US. Again, we're not going to speculate it, but this is important. Will affect, of course, the pound and the FTSE, the UK index. Now, retail sales from US, very important number, also on Wednesday. Monetary policy from UK. CPI numbers from Canada, also inflation numbers. And President of European Central Bank Lagarde is speaking. And another speech on Friday as well, and on Thursday, employment data from Australia. So these are the announcements as far as the economic calendar. Now, let's take a look now at technicals. We'll take a look at the charts of the instruments, and we'll go from asset to asset and from the group. Let's start from indices, and just want to show you on the small time frame the reaction of the inflation numbers. Let's take the S&Ps, and we'll take 30-minute chart. Take a look. We're flat for hours, and this is the announcement came on Thursday at 1:30 p.m. GMT. The moment they saw the numbers, market just went up. and continued. There were a few corrections, and Friday we closed pretty much at the highs. We touched 4,000. So beginning of the move, this is S&P, right? Beginning of the move started, I mean, it went spiked down, but let's say the previous 30 minutes, we closed at 37.65, and we went all the way to 4,000 and something. So that's a big move on S&Ps. Of course, the question is what's next. Now, if we look at the chart, we hit straight to 200 moving average on S&P 500. Okay, and let's see, this week we might stop here. If they consider this to be a super bullish situation, we might continue higher over here. Let's take a look at the weekly chart. We don't see any strong resistance levels here. If we continue higher, we actually might come all the way to around here. As you could see, we dropped here, and then we dropped here around 4140, 4150 area. It's also a possibility. And the opposite scenario, they might think that that this move is overextended. We might also see some panic, as I mentioned before, because of the cryptos. The whole financial sector might be experiencing some uncertainty. We might actually slide lower. We'll see what happens. So that's as far as S&P. I want to also quickly go to Chinese index. The China index had a nice move after recent sell-off. Of course, it followed the U.S. market. We had 2 days up, Thursday and Friday, together with all the global markets. The question is, what is next? If we continue higher, we might come to this 12,600 level, and that actually would hit the 50-day moving average. And why this level? Take a look, 1 and 2. We might see a resistance there. So if that happens, it's going to be a fight here between the bulls and the bears. We might go straight through it. Again, if the global of U.S. markets and our Europeans and everything moves up, continues moving up strongly, the Chinese index might do the same. And if not, we're going to face a strong resistance here if we get there. We might not get there and straight fall down again. But if we are moving higher, this is the level, around 12,600. We might be facing resistance. Now, I want to show you also Nifty. We kind of speak about it pretty much every week. A while ago, I kind of made fun of it, but this guy is very serious. Take a look. We're just moving higher, and we came to the level of 2021 October, a year ago, and we're about to break that. See, we had a brief move back below this support area, and then, of course, Thursday with the global markets, we moved higher. And we continued on Friday, closing at the highs. European indices, DAX was very strong. A similar idea as Chinese index or any of them. We might go higher, and we above all the leverage. All the averages, 50, 100, and 200. If we continue higher here, we might face resistance around 14,650. Let's see how this week plays. We have a few inflation numbers. We have Lagarde speaking this week twice, as we mentioned. Maybe we'll see something that will move or continue moving DAX higher, or the opposite might happen. And if we slide lower, we might come and retest this level here around 13,980, 14,000. This was the resistance. We just went straight through it. So they might take it back down and retest this level over here. Now, UK market is not really reacting very positively to what's happening. Of course, there's a lot of issues, as we know. New prime minister, the economy is not doing that great, and the chart is reflecting it. As other indices, You had China, you had, of course, Nifty, all European indices. Of course, US indices had a super strong move to the upside in reaction to the inflation numbers. FTSE 100 didn't really move that much to the upside. Now, let's go back to US indices. We spoke about S&P 500. NASDAQ had a very nice move. Thursday, NASDAQ reacted very nicely to the upside. Friday, we continued and closed at the highs. We might continue and retest the, or test in this case, the 100 moving average, and that's going to be around 12,000. Let's see if we reach there, and let's see how the price action plays itself out. So that's NASDAQ. Also, Dow Jones, very, very strong. As you remember, we mentioned a few times that out of three, Dow Jones was the strongest. And one of the reasons it was the strongest because it has the least effect by the US dollar, because the stocks within the Dow Jones are mostly doing business locally in the US and not so much exposed to profits abroad. That's what analysts are explaining. So take a look. We had a nice move to the upside on Thursday, but Friday will really pretty much finish flat, even down a little bit. So it could be the Dow Jones is overextended, and it makes sense. Whatever I just mentioned in the last phrase, that NASDAQ and S&Ps moved nicely on Friday as well because of the dollar. Cisco is reporting this week, and the stock is really selling here. You remember Thursday and Friday were the strong move higher, and Cisco actually sold out on both days. Okay, and Friday it fell about 2.2%. It is reporting on Wednesday, the 16th of November, after the close of the market. So based on this, and also the analysts are saying that it might be not such a great number on the earnings. It shows here. Okay. Now, similar to what I was showing you about Disney last week, if you remember, before the earnings, same thing, market went higher and Disney didn't really go. And I mentioned to you that we might see a sell-off on Disney on the bad earnings, and the earnings really came not so great, to say the least. So that's what happened on Disney. And of course, Thursday and Friday was a little bit of recovery there. So that's as far as Cisco that's reporting. Alibaba is reporting as well, and it's reporting on 17th before the market. Now, back to Chinese index, China moved higher nicely from the recent lows, and let's take a look at what Alibaba did. It didn't really do much. It's really accumulating here. So let's see about the earnings. Let's see how the stock reacts to it. I know some people like to trade it. We'll see what the earnings are showing. Now, Intel, another one I want to show you. That's a common news there that you can research. The CEO actually bought a lot of stock. Pat Gelsinger bought a lot of stock, and it's public information. And the stock is recovering nicely here. We've been talking about Intel, I think a while ago, if I mentioned that I want to see recovery in Intel, and that would show maybe the market has a chance to turn around. And actually, Intel's been doing not bad from the lows around 24.75. We closed at 30.5, 30.58 on Intel. Now, a few other charts are interesting. Walmart It's really when the market ran last week, on Thursday and Friday on the numbers, Walmart couldn't break this level. If you remember, I mentioned to you this level here on 142 and 3/4. It doesn't manage to break through it. Okay, somebody is selling the stock. You can't break higher. And one observations, if you trade for a while, if something doesn't manage to break to the upside for a while, at some point the buyers give up and the sellers get stronger. We might see move to the downside, or maybe they're just waiting for the earnings. It's not till December, I believe, the earnings. I'm not sure when exactly. You can research that, but maybe that's what they are looking for. We are sitting here at this level, and we can't really break to the upside. Now, Teva had a nice move. If you remember, we spoke about it a few weeks ago, maybe even last week. I don't remember. And we held the $8 point here, and I mentioned to you we have a chance to go back to 9, and we did come to the level of resistance here. We closed almost at 9.5. So it's good to watch it this week. If we start building support around this level, the stock could move higher and retest the recent highs. Just to remind you, all this move happened when the stock price was upgraded to $13. If you remember, a few weeks ago we spoke about it. So again, one scenario, we start building support and moving higher. Another one, if we dive below 940 again and start building resistance, we might revisit around $8 here before anything. Facebook, Meta. Interestingly enough, the stock moves higher. I think, as I mentioned to you before, possible issues with TikTok. I really don't know deeply what's happening, but it's common information that U.S. is trying to sanction China. It's been going for a while. It's all with tech companies for a few years. And as one of the analysts that I mentioned to you, he said that they might actually block TikTok or harm it or whatever, not letting it being used in the US. So Facebook reacted very nicely, and since the recent lows and the sell-off over here, beautifully. Just give you an idea, we went from $88 to almost $114. That's $26 move. So that's Facebook. Now oil. We're going to go into commodities soon, but I just want to bring up Exxon and Chevron. They really breaking the records here. And let's see what happens. You know what? I'm going to jump for a moment to the oil just to see what's happening with oil. So oil is having a hard time breaking through this 93.30. A few analysts said they were going to reach 100. Some even say that 200 is possible. I don't know. Maybe they're dreaming, but again, I wouldn't be surprised. Anything is possible. We didn't think the oil would hit 130 here, right? So on oil, last week inventories were high, which is not so great for oil. And that's why the oil couldn't go high over here. So, and the stocks, the Exxon and Chevron went higher. So let's take a look again and the stocks. So Exxon, very, very strong over here. We closed the week at the highs. We gapped up on Friday, I guess, with the market, of course, and continued. So we'll be watching oil, what oil is doing, and for these stocks, at some point, of course, going to be profit taking, but maybe it already happened here, and maybe they're just going to continue higher. So we don't see any resistance at this point. The stocks might continue higher. It depends what oil prices are going to be doing. Just to remind you, both stocks reported nice earnings a couple of weeks ago. Very, very strong moves. And at some point, we might see some kind of resistance and possible reversal if oil gets cheaper. Now, AT&T also had a nice move recently from the recent lows. And we are facing resistance around here. Take a look at this level. A lot of fights here, reversal here. We dropped with the gap down. Actually, I think that's what the spin happened over here. So we are back at this level from which the whole sell-off started, around $19. So we'll be watching, of course, what the general market is doing. And if the market continues higher and we break through it, we might close the gap here, or at least reach the 200 moving average, which is currently around 1992. So that's maybe another dollar to the upside. That's about 5% move. So that's AT&T Banks. We spoke about banks for a few weeks with the whole story of Credit Suisse, if you remember. So let's take a look really what's happening with the stocks. The stocks are super strong after this sell-off. We just made almost a full recovery. So we are approaching the 200 moving average on Citigroup. And that might be a resistance around here, around $50, $51 on Citi. JP Morgan broke through 200 moving average. And one of the things that makes sense, if it goes higher, we might have a hard time around 138 and a quarter, 136, what is it, 138 and a quarter. We are approaching that level. And again, it depends how the markets are doing in general. So that's JP Morgan. Bank of America, we are right on 50 and 100 moving average over here. Also a nice recovery. But the strongest one out of them, I think it's Goldman. Goldman had a nice move. We closed the gap. And we are approaching this level with the initial move up stopped at around 391, 392. We possibly could be facing a resistance over here, which we could break and continue to the recent highs. Or if we find a very strong resistance at this level, and again, it depends what the general market is doing. As I always say, when the market is falling, even the best stocks are falling, and the market is running, it takes stocks with it to the upside, of course. So around 391, 392 area, we might be seeing a lot of actions, possibly resistance. Just run through the big guys. Microsoft, after bad earnings, Friday had a nice move. Again, it goes with the market. Apple had a nice recovery. Thursday, we opened with the gap, of course, and Friday, continuation. We're reaching that key point of 150. Remember, for Apple, 150, it's a very strong level. We keep on breaking it each way. Right here, we started the move up from here, then we had resistance over here. We had support, then became resistance. Then we broke through it again, and we're back to approaching 150. Again, I'm repeating myself, but nothing else you could say. We'll see how the market digests the inflation numbers and how this week will play out. Amazon also trying to recover after this tremendous sell-off. We gapped up, everything gapped up on Thursday because the numbers, if you see the gap up on stocks, it's very simple. The inflation numbers came at 1:30 GMT. It came 1 hour before the market opened. So when the stocks open, they automatically open, of course, higher than the previous close. So all the stocks on Thursday, you see the gaps. And you saw another gap on Friday, in this case, on Amazon. So again, all the equities had a nice run, and this week Cisco is reporting, and I just want to show you one more stock that's reporting this week, and that's a big name, NVIDIA, and I'm showing it on MT5. And just to remind you, if you are trading stocks, MT5 has a bigger list of stocks available for trading. So NVIDIA reporting on 16th after the market. And this is a very serious stock. They do video cards and other technology. And if you just zoom out on the weekly chart, the stock's been suffering together with all the high-tech companies or tech companies. And let's see how this earning is. It's going to be closely watched by analysts. Okay, that's NVIDIA for you. Now, let's move to commodities. And we spoke a little bit about oil. The inventories were high. I guess we'll see what happens. By the way, there's some developments in Russia-Ukraine war on the Thursday, the 11th. Ukraine took back a major city, Kherson, and the Russians they're really in trouble. So we'll hear more developments this week as far as the war going on. Now, so crude oil, natural gas. Natural gas, it tried to break through $7. It couldn't, and it came right back below $6, and we're trading around, well, we closed at $5.93. So we're in the range between 5.5, that's the level from which we had the move, and $7, about $1.50 range. We've been trading for natural gas. As far as inventories, I'm just trying to see really quick. Inventories for natural gas were actually less than expected, so that's positive, and that we had that report on Thursday, but the natural gas didn't react to it. And as I mentioned to you last week and the week before, it's very sensitive to the weather. First, it went down, and analysts said the warm weather is affecting it. Then they said, no, it's going to be chilly again, and the market went up again, and now we're back below $6. Again, it's very sensitive to what's happening with the war, Russia involved, and let's see how this week plays out. Now, wheat and corn. Wheat slowly was sliding. It came back to 800, a strategic level. If you remember, we spoke about it pretty much every week. So it could be a support here. If we are holding this level and we show a strong price action, building a strong support, we might continue to the upside. And again, go step by step. First, we're going to test around the 840, 850 area, and we break that. That 900 would be the next one, and then 930 the next one. Let's see what happens. And of course, if we break down below 800 and we start showing resistance and build up below the level, we might slide lower to around 753, 750 area and retest that if support holds. So those two scenarios are likely. Now, on the inflation numbers, as I mentioned to you, dollar, we're gonna take a look in a moment, went higher in the gold. Dollar sold out and gold went higher. Take a look, a beautiful move on gold. We did hold the levels that we discussed. If you remember, we said we're the clear channel between 1621 and 1691. We held 1621 for a while, and then finally we broke through 1691, 1700. Then, of course, on Thursday, when the numbers came out, let's just see the chart. This is when the numbers came, the CPI numbers came out. Gold already reacted way before, and it just continued higher. So very nice move on gold. Now, we are on the up move. We closed at the highs. So few things. We might face resistance around here, and that's one thing. Another thing, we might retest the 200 average, which is currently around 1783, and also around 1792, 1800 resistance is strong as well. So let's see how we continue here, how dollar is playing this coming week, and gold will be moving according to that. Now, copper, of course, moved nicely to the upside on on global indices moving higher, and also Chinese index, of course, is affecting copper a lot. We are above all the moving averages, which is broke through 200 moving average on Friday. We closed at 393.60. There's a possibility of hitting a round number or psychological level of $4, and that's going to be around these levels here from which we sold out. And again, it depends what the whole market is doing, what China is doing. We'll be watching copper. And of course, if it sells, it might come to 370. That's the level that we couldn't break to the upside. It was a resistance. The moment we broke through it, it might become a support. And if we are coming down to retest that level, we might see support building up at 370. Platinum. I don't remember when was the last time I talked about it, but the chart caught my attention. It looks very nicely over here. Take a look on Friday with the nice move, or Thursday actually, a nice move to the upside. Friday with the spike higher but closed lower, and the first thing comes to mind is this level that we couldn't break on a couple of attempts. We might be having difficulty going higher because of this. As you could see, the sell-off came here on 6th of June, and if we are in the upcoming week, we'll start building some resistance here. If we come below this 1038 level and start building resistance, we might see platinum sliding. And if not, definitely we might continue higher. Take a look. I zoomed out to weekly chart. It makes even more sense. Take a look. We sold out from here. We sold out from here. We held support. We held support. A lot of action. Came back below it. Another 2 weeks in a row attempt to break through it. We couldn't. And now we're back at that level around 1038, 1040 area. It's going to be very interesting to watch it this week. Okay, and very interesting one. Sugar. I was really joking about it. Remember, I said coffee, and I asked if you're having sugar with your coffee. Take a look at this sugar chart. Beautiful chart. Take a look. If you remember, I mentioned to you that we might see, if we come back to this channel, we might see continuation to the upside. Last week, it played very nicely. We actually looked through it. And this week actually continued. And take a look where it stopped. The close here is 1959. And the high here is 1938. So we had this spike on Friday, but we closed right around this resistance over here. So very interesting. It was very fast, very strong move to the upside. We'll see how commodities are doing. Of course, commodities went up on the weak dollar, all of them. That's partial reason for that, of course, besides all the seasonal and other things that play roles, and the weather and so on. So let's see what happens. We see nice recovery on the US dollar this week. We might see reversal and some profit taking on commodities, and that would include sugar as well. So as you could see here, we did pull back after this break through this level. So that's it with commodities. We'll move to Forex, and we'll start, of course, with dollar index. Here's your Thursday and Friday, and the same thing. I'm going to take a look at the smaller time frame. This is the announcement right here at 1:30 p.m. Dollar just tanked and never really showed any signs of recovery. It was small profit taking here, but then just slowly, we're just bleeding lower and lower and lower. And we closed pretty much on the lows. So it's going to be very interesting what's next in the upcoming week. We might slide actually lower here, either to, we might retest the 200 moving average, and that's 104.66 currently, or we might see some slowing of moving lower around 105.5. That was the resistance here, and that became a support, and that's where the recent or the last move up initiated from, and the low here was 105.42. That's why I draw this level over here. Anyway, it was a strong sell-off. Let's see what happens this week. And of course, the major currencies against the dollar had a nice move I think the biggest moves happen on yen finally, and the Swiss franc. Let's take a look at yen. Yen had tremendous move down. It was kind of overdue. Take a look. Thursday, we had the range of trading between, the high was 146.5, low 140. It's like about 640, 650 pips. Huge move. And I guess there wasn't enough. Friday was continuation. Okay, so what happens next week? We'll see. We'll see how dollar reacts. We'll see what happens with yen. Swiss franc also reacted very strongly to the dollar. It was a huge drop here. We came, actually, this is a very interesting chart on dollar Swiss. It could be a lot of traders being attracted to it as we came to a very serious level from which we made a strong extended move to the upside. And take a look, we did bounce from it. So let's just see for the accuracy. Low here, 0.9396. Low here, 0.9397. 1 pip difference. So again, I'm not convincing anybody, and it's not my job to convince, but levels sometimes work after a while. This was August 14, and this is Thursday. So again, Friday, sorry. So we did stop here. So like I said, this could be attractive for buyers around these levels. And of course, if we break through it, we might continue to 100 moving average or even lower. But it looks like this level is holding as this extended weekly move stopped right on that level over here. So that's as far as dollar. Now, all others, of course, they move nicely. Euro dollar actually also a very nice chart. We came to August 11 level, and it's a very serious level. Support, resistance, and we hit it again on Friday. 103.5, 103.51. And this is very interesting to watch. It is about 200 moving average. And again, should the dollar show some recovery, we might see a little of a correction here on euro pound. Also moved nicely. And if you can take a look, most of the currencies came to certain levels that are important. They couldn't run any higher. Take a look. This was a support, this was a resistance, and Friday will stop right there. This is important. That's why planning is important. That's why creating levels is important. I know a lot of you like to set up levels of support and resistance, and a lot of you are saying that it works for you. So here's your example right here. New Zealand dollar, nice move to the upside, also approaching resistance over here that we had 2 days in a row from which we sold. We are on the way there on New Zealand dollar. And let's take a look at Australian dollar really quick. Similar idea in Australian dollar. We're approaching a level of resistance, support, resistance, and we're back to that level again around 0.6710. We're right there. So that's as far as currencies. And just one thing didn't get any strength, and that's something that catches the attention. Turkish lira didn't react at all on the weakness of a dollar. And that could only means one thing. Again, similar thing happened here. If you remember, we said after move up, we're sitting here, maybe waiting for the continuation to the upside. It looks like the similar pictures happening here, even more extended. So we might see another move to the upside on dollar TRY when dollar gets stronger. Or of course, the opposite could happen. Maybe they will finally wake up and start changing the interest rates, and we might see actually some strength in Turkish lira, and we might see a move down in dollar against it. So we'll see what's next week. And of course, at the end for dessert, we'll have cryptos. Take a look. If you remember, for a couple of weeks, I've been saying there's cryptos don't really show a lot of interest to the upside. And last week, of course, we had this news with FTX, with the exchange going belly up, filing for bankruptcy, CEO resigning, money disappeared. Whatever the story is, some analysts said that we might see new developments or new news. I think there's a probe into it. Some investigation will be done. Maybe some new regulations will come out. We don't really know what's happening. And some analysts even say that this crisis might even spill into the stock market. So I guess in the next week or development, some new revelations on the crypto world. Pretty much, guys, and of course, for attending the webinar. I hope this helps, and this is the whole idea. That's why we meet. That's what we do. And I wish everyone a great weekend, whatever is left, and get yourself ready, get rested, get energized, and prepare yourself for the upcoming week. And I wish everyone a very successful week. And we'll be back next week. All the best. Take care.